I'm Mark Stepakoff. I think pretty much any folk singer worth their salt is probably familiar with the Harry Smith Anthology of American Folk Music, which was originally released on Folkways Records in 1952. Harry Smith was an eccentric collector of old 78 RPM records, in particular rural and southern folk, country, blues, and gospel, recorded in the 1920s and 30s. And the Anthology of American Folk Music was a 3-album set. It was really music's first box set, with the songs handpicked by Harry Smith from among his favorite 78s in his collection. And this anthology was extremely influential on folk musicians like Bob Dylan, Pete Seeger, Dave Van Ronk, and pretty much anyone involved in the folk music revival of the early 1960s. And in the late 1990s, the anthology was released for the first time on CD by then what was called Smithsonian Folkways Records. And then several years ago, the folks at Dust to Digital Records, which is a reissue label specializing in historical packages of old-time, mostly hard-to-find roots music recordings, they had the great idea of issuing a companion piece to the Harry Smith Anthology, which would be comprised of all of the B-sides to the 78s that Harry Smith had selected for the original anthology. And so this became the Harry Smith B-side project. And after several years in the planning, the Harry Smith B-side project was slated for release in the spring of 2020. And the CDs had been pressed and the package had been assembled and was about to be made available to the public when the folks at Dust to Digital began having second thoughts about 3 of the B-sides to be included in the collection, as these 3 recordings from the 20s and 30s contained language that was racially offensive. And so after a good deal of thought and consideration, they decided at considerable expense to repress the CDs so that these 3 songs would be deleted from the collection, delaying its release from the spring to the fall. And candidly, I have mixed feelings about the decision to delete these tracks. In a historical package like this, I think there's probably something to be said for just releasing it, warts and all, as it were, rather than trying to whitewash or alter or erase the historical record. And that's probably particularly true with a package like this that's really aimed for the discerning folk music listener who would no doubt understand the historical context underlying the release of these recordings. On the other hand, though, I've listened to these 3 tracks, which are pretty readily available online, and there's no doubt that they use language that is extremely offensive. So anyway, one of the deleted tracks is a 1929 recording called the Hen House Blues by a group called the Bentley Boys. Hen House Blues was the B-side to a song called Down on Penny's Farm. Down on Penny's Farm was a track that was highly influential on Bob Dylan, who used it as the basis for one of his earliest original songs, Hard Times in New York Town. And though the Bentley Boys give a jaunty performance, there's no doubt that the lyrics to Hen House Blues are patently offensive, containing no less than 3 racial epithets. Hen House Blues has 2 verses and 2 choruses. In the first verse and chorus, an African-American man, though of course that's not how he's referred to in the song, steals a chicken from a hen house. And meanwhile, in the second verse and chorus, the same character has a nightmare that he ran for president and lost to a woman. So yes, not only is the song racist, it's sexist as well. And so it seems to me that Hen House Blues is a quintessential problematic folk song, and it's a song I've chosen to reimagine for the Know Better, Do Better project. Now the song has a hook line in its choruses, which in the first chorus is, I don't care if you never wake up, which is what the character tells the dog guarding the hen house. And in the second chorus, that line changes to, I don't care if I never wake up, which is what the character tells himself when he has the nightmare about a woman being elected president. So in my reimagining of the song, I keep the structure of 2 verses and 2 choruses, but I sing about someone who looks forward to waking up every morning in the hope he'll be waking to a better and more just world. And I know that's not something that happens automatically, but one thing I had in mind and that I refer to in the song is that no matter how difficult and divided things seem right now, I think everyone of all political persuasions and viewpoints can agree that we've made great progress since 1929 when Hen House Blues was recorded. And so it just so happens that I am making this recording on January 1st, 2021. So in the spirit of hope and optimism that the new year brings, my reimagining of Hen House Blues is called I Can't Wait to Wake Up Tomorrow.